Whether it was witchery, some modern science, or a demon let loose from hell, I am unable to decide. William's Bell from an authenticated history of the Bell Witch.
Who's there?
From 1817 to 1821, an entity calling itself Kate tormented the Bell family of West Tennessee. There is still no widely accepted explanation for this haunting. Coming summer 2024, on the new hit audio drama Afflicted, the Bell Witch returns to haunt a family in 1960s Tennessee, but only if we raise enough money to pay our cast and crew a living wage. Help bring this haunting to life and snag exclusive rewards like limited edition supporter t-shirts, producer credits, and more at afflictedaudio.com/support. But do it quickly. Some perks are limited only to early supporters.
Hello, welcome to Staring into the Abyss. I'm your host, Richard Gerlach. With me, as always, is Vitlame Mist.
Don't you like those little green eyes of the cat? They're so cute.
And unfortunately, Matt Brandenburg has
He left us.
now.
He deserted us for
deserted us.
StokerCon.
Yeah, he's with StokerCon right now. But in his place is guest Aquino Loayza. Aquino.
Aquino. There we go.
Aquino.
There we go. Yes.
I knew I was going to do it.
It's okay, man.
My apologies, man.
Yeah,
And,
I've heard every variation under the sun, so no worries.
I mean, Aquino, you and I are on the same boat, so it's fine.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I know exactly how you feel.
And today we're going to be discussing the short story Gordon by Caitlin Marceau, which can be found in her collection, A Blackness Absolute,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
a interesting short story about cats and ghosts.
In old age.
An old age.
Yes.
And the twilight of our life kind of coming to an end.
Yeah, man, that story, I read the whole collection. I haven't gotten a chance to review it yet on Goodreads. I know how important that is to authors, but wow. Yeah, I remember reading that and just like so much evil in such a cute package. I just it just resonated, you know?
I feel that. Well, I mean, especially if you're a cat person, I can see that hitting people in a specific way too.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm more of a dog person myself. I think dogs are my favorite, but it's also because I'm allergic to cats. If I'm around a cat for too long, like if I don't take allergy medication and I'm around too many cats, I would have to go to the hospital.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. That's
It's
That's
that
rough.
severe?
Yeah, it's that severe.
Damn.
Like I remember one time I slept over at my friend's house who had 3 cats, and I didn't take any medication.
Oh no.
oh no.
When I left his house the next morning, I pulled in. I could barely breathe. My nose is all stuffed up. My eyes are watery. I was still very tired. As soon as I pulled my car back into my home, I turned the engine off. Next thing I knew, I fell asleep for 5 hours.
Oh my god, did you just pass out?
Yeah, I just passed out sitting in my driveway in my car.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my goodness. You must have had the most sore back ever when you woke up. On top of all the allergy stuff.
I was like 19, so it didn't really affect me that bad. But if it happened
Jeez.
now, oh yeah, I would have a very sore back after.
Oh man, to be young again, to sleep in a car without back issues. I say it at the ripe old age of 26.
Which honestly, I know a lot of people in their 30s complain about back pain. Surprisingly, for a bigger person in his 30s, I don't have much back pain. Knock on wood.
I was gonna say, don't jinx yourself.
But that being said, like there was one night where like I rolled over in my bed and I strained my neck. So
Yep.
well,
Yeah, that's like a weekly occurrence for me.
Yeah. So when you get older, it happens a bit more. But before we'll dive into Gordon, we'd like to kind of give a media rundown of kind of stuff we've been consuming over the last week. And I'm just gonna pop the cork because I saw Spider-Verse last night, and that movie was amazing.
Oh man, what a cliffhanger!
It is really, it's honestly, I knew going into it was going to be a part 1 of 2.
Yeah.
But if I didn't know and I saw the cliffhanger, the movie was so amazing. I don't know if I would have forgiven it.
Yeah, I knew in the back of my head that it was a 2-parter, but going into it, like that was just erased. I was just in awe of like the spectacle of all of it.
You were just in the moment.
Oh yeah, totally present in the moment. And it was a full theater with kids running around screaming. I think some kid screamed, "I'm a Spider-Man," and then dropped all his popcorn. It was something. Anyway, yeah. So I really enjoyed it. The animation style was beautiful, and I can't wait for the second one. It's so good.
I love all the blends of animation styles in it too. Like the way they animated Spider-Punk was like incredible.
Oh man, don't even get me started on Spider-Punk. We'll be here for like 5 hours.
I think he's like everyone's favorite now. I think like last time when Into the Spider-Verse came out, everyone loved Spider Noir, and now it's Spider-Punk.
Okay, Into the Spider-Verse. Let's be real. Spider-Ham is the best Spider-Man from Into the Spider-Verse.
No.
Nah, I gotta go with Spider Noir. I mean, anything but Nick Cage. I saw Willy's Wonderland, I think, the other day, like I think Thursday. And now I'm just like in awe of Nick Cage because, you know, he's known for being that over actor, over articulating, over the top. He didn't say one line in this whole movie, not one line of dialogue. And I was like, this is still very much so a Nick Cage movie. And I just came away being very impressed.
Well, if you were a Nick Cage fix, you got to see The Flash next.
Oh, I already saw it. I'm a huge film nerd. I go to the movies like once a week. It's like my one thing. My one self-care thing is going to the movies and eating 2 pounds of popcorn.
I love that. Okay, so settle something for us, Aquino, because Rich and I, we were actually discussing this before we came on. I've been hearing really bad things about the movie, the Flash movie, while Rich has actually been hearing a lot of good things about the Flash movie. What is your take on it?
I think I can understand where some of the criticism comes from, but I think to the extent that it is a little bit overblown, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. It's almost like people are just saying it because it's the cool thing to say. There's some shoddy CGI, but it feels more like a stylistic choice that doesn't work out as opposed to like genuine badness. For a narrative perspective, it's fine. It's not going to reinvent the wheel, but there's enough there to keep you entertained. So it's just kind of, temper your expectations. It's not going to, some people said it was like the best movie in the DC universe since like The Dark Knight. Definitely not that. But it's also not like the 2016 Suicide Squad, which was something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say it's a good, not great movie. Yeah. That's what
I think I'm just gonna wait for it for the stream because the whole controversy with Ezra.
Yeah, funny enough, I know people. So Ezra lives in Vermont, right? I know people in the town of Massachusetts on the other side of the border, and they've seen Ezra in town and know some of the people of those stories. And like, I'm not gonna like articulate all of their stories, but Ezra's definitely a character. I'll leave it at that. Definitely a character.
When I was working at an office supply store here in Iceland, I think it's almost 3 years now, I think. He came into the store. He was high as a kite, and he bought about $3,000 worth of shit there.
Was there like one particular item that was like ridiculous, or was it just actual?
A lot of toys.
A lot of toys.
And a lot of he bought two really expensive suitcases, probably to fill suitcases with the stuff of toys that he bought. He bought a lot of fucking toys.
All right. Ezra Miller, toy fiend confirmed.
Yeah, and then after, it was so funny because after that he stayed in Iceland for I think he was here because they were filming the Justice League movie here. The part where Batman finds Aquaman, that's shot in Iceland.
Oh wow.
And couple of days after that, that's when he got into trouble. When he choked a woman.
Yeah, I saw that video. That was crazy.
That was not good.
Yeah, and it gets worse. They didn't. I don't think they covered a lot of that, like outside of Iceland. But he apparently he had a meeting with one of the people who owns and runs one of our film like cinemas, basically. But they are usually more focused on showing like artsy films and just films that are not like mainstream. Yeah. And he had a meeting with her, and he had, like, according to her, he had this idea of buying this cinema from her to create his own club for himself. Basically, like his own like cinema club for him and his cult. And she was like, "No, honey, that's not gonna happen."
That is something.
And he spent, it was like almost an hour like meeting with her where he was like still trying to convince her to do it. And she was like, "Nope, not happening. Not a chance." Because she thought, like, the premise of the meeting was that he was gonna like wanted to shoot some films or like show some films that he had been in the theater, like in the cinema. But no, he just wanted to buy it.
That's all right. So yeah, The Flash.
Yep.
Yeah, The Flash. Everybody, hey.
So this controversy with him, I'm like, you're not a good person, so I'm probably not gonna watch a lot of stuff from you.
I mean, my take, and this is my full belief. I don't think we should fault the production of a movie because the main star is a shitbag. That being said, I'd change my opinion a bit on the director, but I'll still stream Roman Polanski movies, so I'm part of the problem with this. Because I is Roman Polanski a shit person? Yes. He's a horrible human being. Is Chinatown a great movie? Yes.
Yeah.
So
tough
like
things to reconcile.
Exactly, but for me, I kind of see better where, like, also a movie's more than just one person. It's a collaborative process among many people.
True. Yeah.
So like, but when it's the star of the movie and they're the main focus and they're getting the most credit or they're getting the most profit, same with the director, it becomes I feel a different issue than a side character.
Yes.
But that being said, if someone wants to see The Flash, I'm not going to judge them for seeing The Flash.
No.
I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're seeing The Flash even though it has this shitty actor in it," and I'm just like, you know what? If they're going to go see the movie, I hope they enjoy it. I can sit well with my feelings and my money, and I'll wait for streaming.
Yeah.
But I was that way about what's his face? Fuck, what are those movies? The Justin Long was in the first one.
Jeepers
Creepers?
Yes.
Oh,
so
wow. I just threw a shot in the dark there.
So the director of Jeepers Creepers is evil. Like, he's evil. And when he was directing Jeepers Creepers 3, a bunch of people were just like, just because this guy directed the movie doesn't mean we should boycott it when everybody else of the movie was already part of the process. And for that, I say, because if it's the lead or if it's the director, the lead and director make royalties through residuals when it comes to ticket prices, when it comes to ticket sales, when it comes to that stuff. The other people already got paid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the same thing that I'm like trying to tell people about, like the Hogwarts Legacy game. A lot of people seem to think that Rowling is not going to get any money from this, and I'm like, this is like through Warner Brothers, and she is paid like through a contract with them. Of course, she's getting paid if you buy the if you get the game, she's going to get paid. So you are supporting her.
Yeah.
And a lot of people seem to think like, no, I'm just doing it to support the guys who made the game. Like they're already paid. They don't get anything else.
Well, I mean, also the guy who I think he was rumored for the position, but the person who was directing the game originally had a YouTube channel where
he was a very problematic person.
Woman and blamed a lot of things on Jewish conspiracy theories.
Yep, he was a very problematic.
And also, like, just to like take a step back, even the premise of the Hogwarts game is like the Goblin Rebellion. It's like the Goblin anti-Semitic tropes in those games, and like that franchise as a whole is extremely problematic. And
very problematic.
Ignore the turf stuff. Like I could go on for hours. Obviously, it's the month of Pride. Trans women are women. I'm just going to preface that right now. Trans people are exactly who they say they are, and if you don't like it, I don't care. Cry. Anyway, just the anti-Semitic tropes. It was, from what I understand, the story wasn't all that great anyway. No. Ignore like I understand like Chinatown, right? Like Roman Polanski, horrible human being. Chinatown, one of the best movies ever made. It's like, are you really gonna like die on the hill of like mediocre video game? You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna die on a hill for like a game by a problematic person, it better be like the best fucking video game ever, man. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Not that. so
exactly.
That's my feelings.
And it's so funny, they try to like put a Band-Aid on it by saying, but it has like the first trans barmaid in Hogsmeade. And I'm like, that's not solving the problem.
Nothing. No,
it does nothing.
I will say I don't have any plans to play the Hogwarts Legacy game. I love video games. I'm a big video gamer. But that game just didn't look appealing to me.
No.
Like at all. But that being said, if someone I knew were to buy the Hogwarts game, it would definitely tell me I know where they stand. But I also like fandom runs deep, man. Like,
yeah, I think like there's a lot of willful ignorance within the fandom.
And it's hard to break the chains of fandom. Like I can tell you, I was, and then we'll get back into the media stuff, but I was the biggest Star Wars fan in the world. Like, since I was a kid, I loved everything about Star Wars. And I remember when, what's the movie? The Last Jedi? Is that the one hates?
Oh, is that the one with Rian Johnson?
Yeah, the Rian Johnson one's Last Jedi, right?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
So when the Rian Johnson Star Wars movie came out, this is how far I've fallen off Star Wars. I can't fucking remember the movie name. But when the Rian Johnson Star Wars movie came out, I was living in China at the time, so I wasn't really keen to the controversy happening. And I go on Twitter and I tweet, the movie was very fun. I got harassed for a month on Twitter after that.
What?
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
And like that harassment ruined Star Wars for me. Like I still can't even watch more than 3 episodes of The Mandalorian.
Wow.
Damn.
That's a shame. Pedro Pascal is daddy.
Pedro Pascal is daddy, but at the same time, like Mandalorian's just Lone Wolf and Cub with sci-fi tape on it.
Yeah, I mean, I can go into days about like how all these things are really important to us as kids, and as we develop and as we become adults, we feel like this personal connection to them. And at the end of the day, I don't know how to explain it other than like we can't allow media to become our whole personalities. And I think when people do, it's just super, super problematic. We defend like this art as though it's more important than like people's lives themselves, and that's deeply unsettling for me. I hate Disney because I just feel like it's always trying to attach itself to some sort of nostalgia for people.
Yeah.
And it just creates this really weird subculture that like almost like parallels, older Christianity. And, being from New England, and I don't need to tell you this, the Puritan culture is so pervasive even to this day. Like the way that we carry ourselves, it's kind of wonky. It really is kind of wonky. It's such a unique space in the contemporary United States.
I still love how we in New England I love how we have like the mask of being. I'm using the term mask because it's kind of true, but like New England, everyone's like it's so progressive, and I'm like, bro, have you lived here?
Yeah. Western Massachusetts is progressive, and Vermont is, but outside of that,
well, South Shore, Massachusetts. Like I grew up in South Shore.
I grew up on the North Shore.
I grew up in Brockton.
I'm from the North Shore equivalent. I'm from Lynn, so
the city of sin.
Oh yeah, that's what they say.
But the whole idea is like you look at Massachusetts and everyone from the outside is like Massachusetts is really progressive. And in some ways, as a state, we are progressive. But those Puritan values are really deeply ingrained in the culture.
Super.
State.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like having been to Europe a few months ago, I was in Germany, and just seeing like given their history, how progressive like the day-to-day life is for some people. In Berlin, especially, and then like you see like that's like what actual like leftists in like a city look like, and then you come back to Massachusetts and everyone's like, wow, you guys are so like out there, and it's like we're really not, man. Like some of the things I seen in Berlin, like I saw like this, I was in a line for like a club, and there was just some guy like eating like a big doner kebab, like trying to sell drugs to people in the most casual way I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, this would never happen in New England. Like this guy would have been like arrested by now. And with overwhelming military police force, and like this guy over here is just cocaine in between bites of his sandwich. I'm like, I've never seen anything like this. It's just such a different culture,
Yeah, no, like the Massachusetts is very very unique when it comes to a lot of this stuff, but part of like when it comes to, at least I don't, it's just a unique culture here, the way we exist in the world, but one thing I do love about Massachusetts, I will say, is we do have a beautiful landscape. Not as beautiful as Vermont, but it's kind of up there.
I like the Berkshires. The Berkshires are nice.
Well, the Berkshires is, Berkshires is nice if you got money to live there.
That's fair.
But the Berkshires has some really great scenery. And I honestly like how most Massachusetts people are just dicks, and like that's just how we are in the world.
Oh yeah, I'm a complete asshole. Like I preface with anytime someone talks to me, I'm like, yeah, if you read deep, like my book, it's the most New England dialogue. People are just like assholes, like nonstop, just busting balls.
We don't even mean it in a negative way. Like half the time it's like in a playful way, but it always comes off as like, wow, that person's such a dick.
Hey, we're number one, baby. We're number one.
Number one. Gotta bust out the Boston accent, kid.
Oh, you know it, kid. Don't you worry, dude. I got you. I'll take care of you, kid. Don't you worry about it. I'm from the shore. No worries. My father was a state trooper.
Oh, your father was a statey?
My father was a statey. Oh, man. Used to go to Dunkin's every single day.
One of my favorites is I was talking to a Caroline Kepnes, the author of You and Providence. And she was telling me when she wrote Providence, because the whole thing takes place in Rhode Island, characters would refer to the liquor store as a packy, which is a very offensive term in the UK, but it's not meant that way in how we use it here.
Oh, yeah.
And so the editor wrote back, and the editor's like, what is this? And she's like, it's a liquor store. And he's like, they call it a liquor store. But she's like, but the people call it packy.
So I have, I don't know what they call them in Europe, but we know them as a rotary, and the rest of America calls them a roundabout. And I was doing editing, and they were like, my editor said I had to spend 3 hours on Google and like New England Reddit to figure out what the hell a rotary was. And I was like, it's what it is.
You call it a rotary?
Yeah, they call it a rotary.
It's a rotary in New England. Yeah. What do you call it in Iceland?
Ringtork.
Ooh. Yeah, see, I like rotary better. No offense.
I'm saying that's like 3 times fast.
Yeah.
But back on topic. we got way off track with Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
From Spider-Man to New England rotaries, there we go.
There we go, baby. There's a key. But no, with like I was supposed to say, like with Spider-Man, all the different Spider-Man variants were so fun to see in the movie. And the comedy, like, I don't think it's as funny as Into the Spider-Verse was, but when it's funny, it's very funny.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that.
I feel Into the Spider-Verse had a lot more jokes, but when this one had jokes, the jokes went really hard.
Yeah, I would also say, in the other direction, the emotional impact of this movie, man. I liked the first one a lot, but like there were several scenes in this where I was tearing up and I was just like, wow, this is just, and it wasn't even like the ending or anything. It was just so much emotion packed into this movie. And I think they kind of found that balance better in this one than the first one. I
agree. And the only spoiler I'll say is I just love how schlubby Peter B. Parker is. Like even the first movie, I just loved he was a schlub. And
I loved it too.
Schlubbiness even more.
Yeah, great casting.
Like I love that they still like the GIF with him crying in the shower is used so many times. It's so good.
It's a great GIF.
In this one, he is wearing a bathrobe and slippers over his Spider-Man costume the entire time.
Actually, we're gonna get into that into the story later on. But if you were in Canada, you would call that a house coat.
You would call it a house coat.
A house coat. Wow.
Exactly. Right.
I'm learning so much today. I didn't expect. It's a Saturday. It's a weekend. I'm learning. Yeah. Gotta love it.
We're gonna dwell deeper into this single word later on.
I also was last week. I started watching. Well, I got caught up with the show From, which if you like Lost or you want a show like Lost, From is the closest thing you'll find.
Wow. So what's the premise?
So the premise is it's on season 2 and it's on MGM Plus. But the premise is there's a town that exists, and once you find yourself in this town, you cannot leave.
Oh.
And no one knows what the entry point is. Like people have entered in this town. One person could be driving in Ohio, the other person could be driving in California, and they both end up in this town.
Okay, I like this premise.
So no one knows how they get there. And once they're there, you can't leave. If you keep on going down the roads all take you back to the town.
Wow. So maybe this is just me being like way too logistical, but like my mind immediately goes to like, wouldn't you be able to find it on like your debit transactions on your bank account?
I mean, well,
or your credit card would get blocked and now you're like in this town you can't escape, but you can't apply for a mortgage.
Well, yeah,
I'm so logistical. I'm sorry.
The town's abandoned. Like no.
Oh.
The people who live there are the people who get stuck there.
Oh, okay.
So they form a community together. And when night falls, these people come out of the woods who are pale white, and they smile, and they walk. And when they catch you, they kill you in the slowest, most painful way possible.
Shit, I need to watch this now.
I do like slow deaths from pale, smiling white folks. My people have a history with that. I'm Peruvian, by the way. I'm looking at you, Spain. I'm looking at you, Spain.
So the show follows. The first season opens as his family are driving an RV, and these other guys are drunk driving, and they both get into a car accident outside this town. And they both these two groups of people have to learn what the fuck is this place? How do we survive? And kind of go on from there. And season 2 is diving more into the mystery of this place. It's very Lost-like. So if you liked Lost, this is a good. It'll fill that void that Lost had. Because I know people hate on Lost for the finale, but I think Lost was a great show. I love that show.
I actually didn't watch Lost. I wasn't into that kind of hype at the time, but I do like this premise, so I probably will try to check it out.
Like I was just in this. The opening scene is you see people getting ready for bed. The woman tucks her daughter in at night and says, "Ignore what happens outside." And then the daughter's in bed, the mother's downstairs, the doors are locked, and the camera focuses on the stone that's like right by the door. And all of a sudden, as the girl's sleeping, you hear tapping on her bedroom window.
Holy shit.
And then she walks to the window, and you hear an elderly woman talking, saying she's her grandma. And she says, "Open the blinds, I want to see you." And so she opens the blinds, and it's an older woman, and she goes, "You're not my grandma." And the woman just goes, "Don't you want to let your grandma in to give you a hug?" And that's when the mother goes upstairs, and she's like, "No!" And then the daughter opens the window, and then it plays the intro credits. And then the next scene, you just see the mother and daughter's bodies ripped open, and blood is everywhere.
Damn.
I'm already sold on this.
Yeah, it's a fun premise. I would like to see how they sustain it over time, unless it's like a one season type of deal.
They're on season 2 now, and season 2, the first season's more kind of like character building for the main characters.
Yeah.
And the second season's diving more into like what actually is this place.
Okay.
I don't know, and I think there maybe I can tell you the way season 2 is going. I don't think it's a 2-season show. I think it might go at least one more season, because they have a lot of threads they are not able to wrap up in the 2 episodes that are left of the season.
Nice. Okay,
but,
I'm sold.
And also I forget his name right now. The black character that was in Lost, one of the main guys. He's in the show too. So that's a connection. He's a wonderful actor. I just forget his name right now. But From is, if you want to watch it, I don't know where you can get it in Iceland, Vitlame, but in America it's MGM Plus. So
I will find some way.
There's so many streaming services.
There are honestly, literally, I just got MGM Plus because it was like $5 and they had some movies I wanted to watch, and then I saw From was there, and I was like, oh, I heard this was good. And like for me, I'm like, oh, it's a $5 thing, whatever. I'll pay $5 for it. It's not that big of a deal. But I'm probably going to cancel when season 2 of From ends, and then I'll wait for season 3 to come out.
So you're smart. I will subscribe to something, and then I'll find out 2 years later I'm still paying for it, and I haven't logged in. I've just forked over so much money. How many burritos could I have bought with this money?
A lot of burritos.
Yeah, you get a little sad.
I also have seen the first episode of the new Black Mirror season.
I saw 3 of them last night. I was up till midnight watching them.
I thought the first episode was pretty good. My one criticism is it lacked the bite that I think Black Mirror used to have. But I do think it had good commentary by the end of it too.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I feel like it was one of the more happier Black Mirror episodes. In a sense.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. I think for me, out of the 3 I saw, the second one is by far the best that I've seen. And it's also super horror. That's a lot of horror in that one. Very good.
So the purpose of the first one is just pretty much like this woman's working a day in her life. And I forget, did she cheat on her fiance or just kiss her ex and then kind of leave?
So I guess it depends on what your definition of cheating is, right?
I mean, I think I would say it's all bad, personally speaking. Yeah. But
Joan is the worst.
But they can't leave it implied. She just makes out with her ex. She goes back home with her current fiance because also part of her knows that like her fiance is good for her. And then there's this new show called Joan is Awful. Or Joan is Horrible, and that's her. Only she's being played by Salma Hayek. Mm-hmm. And they watch it, and it's just her whole day played by somebody else.
As it happens.
Yeah.
It's like a 5 to 6 hour turnaround. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And then like her fiance leaves her after watching this, and you just kind of follow this woman Joan as her life kind of falls apart because of this streaming show where every day there's a new episode that recaps what happened that day.
So it's basically a horror version of the Truman Show.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it starts out horror-y, but kind of gets really silly really quick.
It gets kind of. I feel like the end was kind of bittersweet too.
Yeah.
I also little Michael Cera was pretty funny. When Michael Cera showed up, I was like, "Wait, is that Michael Cera?"
I literally had the same reaction. I feel like
And
that
then,
every time I see Michael Cera, I was like, wait, is that Michael Cera? Like, I'm just surprised that he's still working. And it's like, but he's like in his mid-30s. You know what I mean? He should be working.
Yeah.
But I'm still
Mhm.
shocked when he is.
Well, Michael Cera gets a lot of hate, but I've always thought he was like, depending on his role, I think he's had some really funny roles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I still think his best role is This Is the End. I love like how horrible he is, and This Is the End.
Oh
When he's like,
yeah.
yeah,
He was
he's
this
like
he was this toxic best friend.
Yeah, he was at the toxic best friend. He slaps her on his ass, and he's like
Mhm.
fucked up on cocaine for like the entire time he's in the movie.
Mhm.
what a movie.
I love that movie. That movie's great.
So,
Me too.
Bill, what have you been consuming? So we've been talking all about everything we're consuming, but we haven't heard anything from
next.
the land of ice.
Well, I watched last week. I did watch Weird, the Al Yankovic story.
How was it?
Yes.
It was so fun. It was
I
so
need to
I
fun.
love
watch
that movie.
It's on my
If-
list.
If you love Weird Al Yankovic, you're gonna love this movie.
It is perfect. It is the perfect Weird Al biopic.
Yes, it is. It's so good, and I just love how Daniel Radcliffe just fits perfectly as him.
Yeah.
They even though they look nothing alike, just the energy he gives into this role is amazing.
Daniel Radcliffe is so underappreciated. Obviously, the Harry Potters, but I don't know if you guys ever seen the Swiss Army Knife Man thing.
Oh
movie.
yeah, when he
That was
played.
incredible.
Yeah, when he played.
That is-
If you haven't watched Guns Akimbo, you need to watch that one. It's so fun.
That movie's also great.
Yeah, I've seen that one. That one was a lot of fun.
So yeah, it had a lot of great cameos. I I love the fact that he switched it around with "Eat It," thinking that it was his original song, and then Michael Jackson cop parodied it with "Beat It."
That's funny.
Yes.
It was so
Or-
funny.
Or how he gets that conflict with Pablo Escobar.
Yes, it was so funny. Like, Pablo is my biggest fan, and you're like, okay, you want a drug lord to be your biggest fan?
Yes, obviously.
I mean, in the 80s, duh. No
Yeah.
brainer.
It was just fun to see all the cameos and to see if you recognized any other people that were playing them. Like, there was this, I don't know who the actress was, but I saw, like, it was fun to see, like, oh, there's Elvira, and then there's, what was his name again? Oh crap. I'm so bad with like 80s old icons. Pee-wee? Was it Pee-wee?
Is it the guy who has like he like talks with a really like deep voice, like ah, that
Yeah,
guy?
yeah.
That's Pee-wee.
Yeah, they had Pee-wee there, and like it was so funny. And I love the joke with the guy who's like, "I'm this guy," and I first look at him and he's like, "The best player for Queen," and I was like, "Oh yeah.
We know him.
Did you catch Weird Al's cameo?
Sorry.
Did you catch Weird Al's cameo?
Yes,
Yeah, that was great too.
it was so good.
Weird
Just
Al is
look-
a national treasure.
He is
I
a
know.
treasure.
I love his songs. They always make me like smile all the time, and I actually prefer his parody songs over the original sometimes.
Oh, definitely.
For example, one of my favorites is "Word Crimes."
Oh, that's a great song.
That is a
It's such a good song, and it's a lot better than the original. If you know the controversy behind the original with Robin Thicke,
good one. Yeah, Robin
Yeah.
Thicke is a
douchebag.
big piece of shit.
Yeah.
Okay,
Big
huge piece
piece of dookie.
Yeah, exactly. So I always, because I love the beat, but listening to the lyrics, I always felt icky.
Yeah.
So when Weird Al released this song, I was like, "You saved this beat for me, thank you." And now I can just listen to it without like feeling icky. Just like, it's about an editor who hates when people can't do editing.
There's nothing more relatable for an author than that.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, so I watched that, and then I decided this has nothing to do with horror or anything like that, but one of my guilty pleasures is sometimes watching like No, not. I can't say guilty pleasures. This is like a rare thing for me. I have been watching like on Netflix the series Never Have I Ever.
Oh, I haven't seen that, but I've heard it's hilarious.
I've heard it's very funny.
So fun. And they just released season 3, the last season, and I was like, "Fuck that! I'm gonna binge the entire season." And it was amazing. It was so fun. It was so funny, and it like ended on a really good note. And I was like, "Why can't teen shows be like this?"
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've heard really good things about that show. There's
There's-
just so much media to watch,
I
There's too
know.
much
much to be consumed.
I know. It's so hard. And then I've started on. I haven't finished it yet, but we're probably gonna finish it this weekend. We did get we downloaded the because remember last week when I was shitting on the Unholy.
Yes.
Yeah. We after I told my husband about like who the director was and what he had directed last time, we discovered that he did the Pope's Exorcist.
You watched The Pope's Exorcist?
I started it.
How bad is it?
It's so fucking bad.
Yeah, I didn't even. So, obviously horror writer, right? People are like, "Hey, look, the Pope's Exorcist is coming out. Do you want to watch that with me? Do you want to go see this movie?" It's like, absolutely not.
No.
There's nothing I would want to do less with my time than watch Russell Crowe be the Pope's Exorcist.
Trying to be Italian.
Oh man, yeah, you can't just be. You're either Italian or you're not. There's no pretend, man.
I mean,
know?
why get a fucking Australian to do it in the first place?
Name recognition? I don't know.
Technically, he's a Kiwi.
Oh, he is?
He was born in New Zealand and spent 10 years of his childhood in Australia.
Oh, interesting.
I'm on his Wikipedia now. That's the only reason why.
Oh my god. But yeah, the movie like didn't even start on a great note. Like it started like in somewhere in Italy in 1987. Like, hey, my birth year, and it kind of looked like it was like you entered into a house that was like in the 1920s. It was just basically just a hovel of a house. But I was like, Italy wasn't that poor in 1987. Like, what the fuck? And I don't think like a rural village would look this bad.
Well, it was clearly southern Italy. We all know how that goes.
Yeah. Probably.
I'm like half Sicilian, half Peruvian ethnically, and man, the way that northern Italians treated southern Italy, if you ever look up like the difference in like economic wealth between the two regions today, it's like nuts. Like it's
Really?
genuinely crazy. Like I'm gonna look it up while we're talking. Italy GDP for per region, northern so much more rich. It's like crazy to think about.
Isn't it? Yeah, I mean Milan is in the north, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, like fashion city. I mean, yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, so like the per capita, according to Wikipedia, because we're being very scientific, for like Lombardy, which is northern, is like 35,000 euro,
Mm-hmm.
and then like Sicily's like 22,000 euro.
That's wow, that's
2/3.
Really,
That's crazy.
Damn. Okay, that might have been that. It didn't say like where in Italy it was, so yeah, could have been.
It could have been, but yeah, I know what you mean.
But it like started off with that, and then he went there and was trying to exorcise a demon that was in a child. And I don't know, it just felt for me because he was supposed to be like portraying a Catholic, and I don't know, I'm not that into like Catholicism or anything like that, but I would assume that they would value each and every life.
Oh yeah, don't even get me started on Catholicism.
Yeah.
I grew up with a bunch of Irish Catholics. Don't get me started on.
Yeah. But it was so interesting because like as soon as he kind of like dared the demon to enter a pig, because he's like, you can't even possess a fucking pig, man. And apparently the demon does so, and like immediately he shoots the pig. And I was like, that's not a great beginning. Secondly, because there's animal harm in this, and I hate that. And like, thirdly, again, with this, like, wouldn't you value every single life as a Catholic? Like,
God,
No,
like, what?
yeah.
Really not? Okay, because I was like, why would you go for this method?
Yeah, so like, I mean, I'll in a broader context, like that Catholic horror, like Christian horror type thing, I think that like that's kind of dying out a little bit. I don't know if you guys have seen that as much, but there's not as much of like those exorcist, even in novels and stuff, those exorcist ghost haunted house type stories. I think it's like a little bit of it needs a refresher, right? And I think like the movie like this, like the Pope's Exorcist, is kind of leaning into those old tropes where like our age group in general just is not receptive to that. You know what I mean? Like I can't watch like the Poltergeist movies if they remade them again or whatever. Like the Conjuring movies don't really do much for me.
Yeah, same.
Insidious doesn't really do much for me. I think they're well made for what they're trying to be, but they're not inventive enough. And there's only so much like demons are haunting you that like is gonna bother me. You know what I mean?
And also they dig deeper with the demons, guys. Don't just go for the first 5 ones that you know. Dig fucking deeper.
Yeah, and also like, make them fun.
No, I mean, you know what? You know what my D&D, you know what my D&D group got me for my birthday? They got me the Demon Dictionary.
That's a great gift.
I know, and it has like the entire names and descriptions of all the demons in the world, and I'm like, this is amazing. I love this. And it's like, why? And I think like Hollywood should have like this book just for reference if they want to do like a haunted like or a demonology story or something like that.
Yeah,
just dig
like,
deeper. There are so many demons out there.
I agree, and like even like furthermore, like the way that demons are represented in like modern horror movies are just not fun. Like look at the Evil Dead movies, right? Like the Deadites are like genuinely hilarious, but also terrifying at the same time.
Yes.
And like there's some of that soul has been kind of stripped out of like modern like possessed or demon movies where it's like I'm evil and I'm gonna kill you. Ha ha ha. It's like, all right, well like can you like do a little bit more than that? You kill a lot of people, man. Like I'm paying money to watch you kill these people.
Go back to The Exorcist. You get like your brother 6 cocks in hell.
Yeah, which is hilarious. Like watching that now, it's like, oh my god, like it's so. But at the time, that was terrifying. But you know, there's a little bit of like tongue in cheekness that I feel like has been kind of lost, and the art that takes itself a little too seriously. You know.
And I think it's in this movie they are taking it far too seriously.
Yeah, you have Russell Crowe, man. Like, no one else see Les Mis? Like, this guy can't sing. You know, he's kind of a silly looking guy. I mean, saw the Thor movie. He was kind of ridiculous. Like, lean into it. He can be a little ridiculous. You can have some fun with it.
Have you ever seen The Nice Guys?
Yes, he was so fun in The Nice Guys.
He's so fun.
Russell Crowe is hilarious in that movie.
He can do comedy.
He had such great chemistry with Ryan Gosling. Oh, was it Ryan Gosling? Yeah, it was Ryan Gosling.
I love that movie. The Nice Guys movie.
It's really good. It's like a really underappreciated movie.
Yeah, flew under the radar for sure.
So yeah, I'm hopefully gonna finish that. It's probably gonna be a hate watch, but sometimes we gotta have a hate watch.
Oh, I love a good hate watch.
Yeah, no, always gonna have a hate watch. I'm gonna say your name wrong, Aquino.
You got it right. Woo! I wish I had like a Staples button. I was like, that was easy. But I don't. I didn't prepare myself.
Consuming this last week besides Spider-Verse a second time?
Yeah, so I saw The Flash. I told you guys a little bit of how I felt about that. Love Michael Keaton. Super, super fun. I saw the first 3 episodes of Black Mirror. Really, really good. But you're watching it now, so I don't want to spoil too much, but I think my personal favorite thus far is episode 2. Willy's Wonderland. Sorry, what was that?
Which one's the space one?
That's episode 3.
Ooh, I like when Black Mirror goes to space.
Yeah, that was really good too. But something about episode 2 set in Scotland, and something about like the rugged mountainy. You know what I mean? Like my first book set in the rugged northern coasts of Maine, which don't compare to Iceland. Just by the way, I've been to Iceland very briefly in transit. Gorgeous, gorgeous country from a bird's eye view.
True.
I'm sure it's gorgeous in the regular view, but I didn't see it, so I'm not going to speak to it. Yeah, I love rugged, dramatic landscapes, and like episode 2 really leans into that from like a cinematography perspective, and it's really good at like isolating and that isolation feeling and that like you're the only people in the world kind of sensation, and I really dig those vibes. So
Uh,
I really liked episode 2.
Fun fact: I actually did film one Black Mirror episode here.
Oh, which one?
It was the one I
Ooh.
think with the woman who was running away from the robotic dogs.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a
Mhm.
great episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was filmed I think here in Iceland. Like they rented like the house she was in. It's a villa like in the middle of fucking nowhere, and they rented it for like I think 7 days or something like that.
Iceland's got some beautiful landscapes, like gorgeous, gorgeous landscapes.
I mean, yeah. Did you? I assume you guys have seen Aquino. Have you seen Dungeons and Dragons movie?
Yes.
The scene where they're walking by the volcano. That was our volcano.
Oh wow. So
Wow.
was it Northman filmed in Iceland?
Yeah, that too.
I loved I love Robert Eggers. So for my favorite movie ever is The Lighthouse. So like I'm an Eggman all the way. He's a New England
Hard.
rotary driving director. I love Robert Eggers.
That's what it is.
So yeah, the Northman's
But-
great. Iceland, beautiful country.
I mean, they are building like they're calling it like a mini Hollywood. Like actually, not that far away from where I live now. Where so that people that want to film here in Iceland, they will have better access here. So they're like doing like a film studio something there. And
Cool.
yeah, Baltasar Kormakur, he's the one who's doing it.
So yeah, that's what I've been watching. I watched Willy's Wonderland. That was really fun. That was a really fun movie. Just watching Nick Cage beat the shit out of animatronics that are like, serial killers that have like transferred their souls to animatronic things. It's supposed to be like Five Nights at Freddy's kind of thing, but
I was
so
gonna
fun.
say that sounds like that.
It was very much so leaning into that. It was not a great story. If you're expecting like this narrative, introspective story, that ain't it. But if you just want to watch Nick Cage beat the shit out of animatronics, then it's a good time.
That sounds like a very good time.
Yeah, it sounds like a good time.
So yeah, that's all I watched this week. I've been kind of busy. I don't know if you guys follow my Twitter too much, but I just announced like a autistic horror anthology. So the submissions opened for that yesterday. So I've been doing a lot of prep work for that and answering people's questions and trying to be as available as I can to people because, as we all know, with autism and other mental health illnesses, that diagnosis process can be really antiquated.
Yes.
So some people are like, I'm pretty sure I have it, but I've never had the diagnosis. And it's like, absolutely. Still send a story in, like it doesn't matter because I didn't get diagnosed until I was 14. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a long time to be not properly diagnosed with mental health issues. So I understand that everybody's journey is linear.
Yeah, everyone has their own journey. No, I love the concept of this though.
Yes, it's called Spectrum because autistic spectrum. There's a vast array of how that manifests. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I wrote my own short story to put in there, my own self plug. You pay for it, you can throw a story in, right? You pay for it, you can throw one story in. But yeah, so that's been my week.
That's cool. I will say before we dive into the short story, I do want to say one last thing. I watched The Walking Dead Dead City episode 1.
I'm hearing from the tone. Yeah, I'm hearing from the tone it might not be good.
It's actually really fun. I liked it.
Okay.
Maggie and Negan team up and go to Manhattan. It's a fun time for everybody.
Except for the zombies.
I kind of actually want to just see the road trip there.
Well, I will say this: Maggie still wants to kill Negan for killing Glenn.
Of course.
And Negan is on the run, and people want him dead. And Maggie's son Herschel has been kidnapped by one of Negan's old acquaintances. So Maggie hunts down Negan to help her get to New York to get to his old acquaintance to get Herschel back.
Yeah, I didn't watch The Walking Dead, so I didn't follow any of that. I just know that Negan hit somebody pretty hard with a baseball bat.
Yeah, he
That's the extent of what I know.
The baseball bat. The show's a lot of fun. I'm a sucker for zombie infested cities as a plot trope. So, episode 1 was pretty solid. I think my favorite part is when they first get to Manhattan, one of the people's trips, and next thing you know, bodies start falling off the skyscrapers. And it's because the zombies heard somebody from below, so they're walking up the skyscrapers to try to find out what's below. And there's just bodies falling as like they're trying to hide.
I do love a good body fall.
So, but let's dive into the story.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So you picked this story pretty quickly when I brought up kind of the idea of the podcast. So what about Gordon kind of jumped out to you as a story to discuss?
So in my own craft work, I'm a little bit of an existentialist. Philosophically, I would like describe myself as like a optimistic nihilist. But with that comes some level of existentialism and questioning your mortality and what have you. And what I really, really dug about this story was there's this cat thing, not really explained exactly what it means, which is something I also really like. I don't like when stories tell me this is what it is and there's no other way you can interpret this. But I really liked it, and it just really resonated like this feeling of powerlessness and like your life being sucked out of you quite literally and figuratively as you age, and how people perceive you in the space you navigate, and how your opinion can either be disregarded or validated depending on somebody else's own inherent biases. It was just a really powerful story in such a short span of time. And Caitlin's a powerhouse of a writer. The prose is just perfect. I don't know. I've read the collection, and out of that collection, that story just kept sticking with me. I just kept seeing green eyes everywhere, So, yeah, that's why I chose that one.
Very good. Like, I will say this. I want to read the story a second time because I first tried it this morning. Like, because I read for like 45 minutes after I wake up every morning. That's kind of my morning routine. I do like a half hour, 45-minute read. And I think I might have just been a little bit too sleepy or too tired when reading this. But one thing I do like about the story is I loved the whole like haunting aspect of it and how the ghost could be interpreted. I thought that was interesting. Or when like the mother's like the mother's whole the English I speak and I swear. When the mother is freaking out about the intruder and everyone's like, what intruder?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I'm talking about like before, right? Where like when you're old like that and you're vulnerable and people think your mental faculties are kind of eroding, they don't take you seriously, right? And like that's a feeling of ultimate powerlessness on top of your own body betraying you. So like not only is your physical body betraying you, but like people don't even trust your mental judgment anymore. And I can't imagine how that feels. That's really terrifying to me, So
the keys don't get old.
Yeah, the keys don't get old, Stem cells, do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So ultimately, in the story, we're introduced to her name. I believe her name is Penny, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So we're introduced to Penny, who's this elderly woman living at home, and she's gifted a cat with very sharp green eyes.
It's a ginger tabby.
The ginger, is it ginger tabby?
Mm-hmm.
With sharp green eyes. And the son got her this cat as a gift. And we learned this because we learned he got the cat because the cat was living in a place and the people, didn't they die?
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
It had like a male owner that died.
So then he gave the cat to his mother to give her some companionship.
Yeah, because she had just lost her husband.
And then strange things begin happening.
Almost instantly.
Yeah, like right away. And part of as the story goes, it's kind of like, is there a ghost attached to the cat? Is the cat doing this? It can't be the cat doing this. But something strange is happening, and it's always around this cat.
Yeah,
and
sorry.
That's the part I find it like interesting with this aspect is like the cat's role in this. But Vinny and I were talking before the podcast. Man, this pollen's killing my nose. Vinny and I were talking before the podcast, And the whole like thing with cats going to elderly patients at nursing homes or hospices when like it's their time. And like people like somehow cats can sense something that they know who will go next, and they're spending time with that person. And like 2 days later, that person's passed away.
It is said in a lot of lores that cats are like the guardians of spirits, or like they guard the dead. So it's in Egyptian folklore, for example. So yeah, it makes sense that they would always watch over dying people.
Yeah, and this story kind of plays on that concept a little bit. But not only does it like suggest that like they know when someone's gonna die, they're almost like a part of that process and facilitating that process escalating, right?
Yeah.
Like, so to bring up that point, the cat didn't like choose her, right? Like somebody else gave her this cat.
Yeah.
And this cat like expedited that process significantly. Like the lady talked about every time she wakes up, she feels substantially weaker than the time before.
Yeah, way more tired. Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, like her life force is being sapped away.
Yeah, the first time I read it, I kind of thought maybe it's like bringing back its old owner and like sucking the life force out of these people until the owner becomes undead. They're alive once more. But I don't know. I like the ambiguity of it. It doesn't really give you any answers, which is more fun.
It leaves it for you to interpret how it goes. And I mean, I hate answers in horror. Like, don't give me answers. Like, I hate the whole people get mad when they show the monster. Don't show the monster. Keep the monster hidden. Like,
I prefer that, especially if there's mystery and horror, especially if there are monsters. Just don't show the monster.
Like our imagination, even for our interpretation when it comes to these things.
Yeah.
I think what we come up with as our own reader will be just as good, if not better, than what the author intended. But it's also, once the work's out there, it's out there for us to interpret.
Yeah. I think the kind of correlates with Cloverfield movie. Like when they were marketing it, they didn't show the monster at all, and you were always second guessed, like what kind of a creature is this? And you always saw a little bit of a glimpses, like when you were watching the actual movie. But then they decided at the end to show the actual monster, and it did not look scary at all. Well, in my opinion, it didn't look scary at all. Like with the bulging like thing that was like, I think it was their lungs or something, like breathing. I was like, this is weird. It's like he has a bra on the top of his head.
I don't know. I just thought of like Little Nicky, where like the devil's like assistant grows boobs on his head and he has to wear like a bra on the top of his head.
Man, when I was in middle school, that was like peak comedy.
Oh yeah. Adam Sandler, another New Englander.
We're everywhere.
Yeah, I write, my first novel is cosmic horror, and it's tough because I wanted to not show too much, but at the end, I give a little bit. But then I think that you can do that so long as when you show some, it actually invites more questions than less questions, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like the exception to the rule when it comes to cosmic horror.
Yeah, I think that it's inherently like and this sounds problematic, but it's inherently like a xenophobic genre, right? Like it's this fear of like the unknown, of like what cannot be quantified, of the other. Yeah. So like I wanted to deconstruct that a little bit while also still providing some level of existential terror. But yeah, generally speaking, I don't like things to be wrapped in a nice little bow. I'm okay with seeing the monster so long as seeing the monster actually brings on more questions as opposed to less.
Yes.
I agree with that. But yeah, so as this progresses, like her health begins weaker and weaker. Things are going crazy around her house at night, and the son moves her into a nursing home. And the son feels like this would be a good place for her. If anything happens, like that intruder incident, she has a button to call for help so someone can come and help her out. And you can tell like the son doesn't really believe what she's actually going through.
No. I don't know about you guys, but that part in particular when he reminds her how her mother had like how her last days were, that really hit me. That hit me hard because it reminded me of how things, like how my grandmother's health deteriorated. Like how she describes the basically the Penny's mother. She died from, I think, Alzheimer's. And yeah, and she goes like into vivid detail, like how it progressed. Like she wouldn't remember the little things, and then suddenly she just couldn't talk anymore. And I was like, yeah, that's basically what happened with my grandma.
Yeah, and that's
so
a horrible part of getting older too. Like,
yeah,
Alzheimer's, I think, is the ultimate like horror thing. Just imagining forgetting everything you know.
Mm-hmm. And it just basically is forgetting to be alive.
Yeah, because I think,
And
when
like,
you're younger, right? You're always taught that your body's going to age. You're going to, it's going to be tougher to do things. But you're never taught that your mind's going to
Mm-hmm.
kind of fall apart. You kind of take that as like a given, right? And then when it happens, it's such a terrifying feeling to think about everything that I'm experiencing right now and I've ever experienced. At some point in my life, there's a possibility that I won't remember any of this. And that's terrifying. Yeah, I absolutely agree.
There's times where I'm like talking with my grandparents, and my grandma's like, "Remember this time we took you at this place as like a kid?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." I have zero memory of this event happening, but like my grandma remembers it in vivid detail, and I don't remember it at all.
That's scary.
Yeah, I appreciate that Caitlin managed to really hit you hard with these words, like in this particular segment.
Yeah, she's such a masterful wordsmith. So much emotional resonance, and also like in other lenses too. Like, I don't think there's any mistake that like her male son disregarded his mom, who's a woman, his opinion of her own mental health has like a just kind of disregarding it. I think that if it was a daughter, she might have handled that a little bit differently. That there might have been a little bit of a more of an emotional connection. But there's just like this feeling of like with men of just like, I know better. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
blah, blah, and disregarding women in medical fields.
Oh yeah. It's not only that. It's just this is, I think, ingrained into you. But I almost think biologically, but it's like, but also kind of socially, that men, and I've discussed this before in our podcast, that you're supposed to be the problem solvers. You are not for some reason, you don't think that you're not supposed to be sitting down and listen to the problems. You just should listen and not solve it. And then you see it immediately in this case here, that instead of sitting down and listening to his mom, he's just like, no, I'm taking it to a better place. It's fine. Problem solved. You're going to be fine.
Yeah, he thinks he knows better without actually listening to the problem onto itself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's a massive issue with men. Obviously,
it's a toxic masculinity thing.
It's definitely, and even people who aren't, cis or heteronormative still have those issues. Like, I would put myself kind of in that gender fluidity, more they them than he him, and even then I find myself falling into those tropes. And I know some of that's conditioned and some of that's taught, but you always got to wrestle with that and always have to grapple with that when you navigate spaces. And just it's a classic case. And like, I don't think that somebody who's a cis male writer would have been able to deconstruct that so effectively so quickly as she did in this story.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not even put out there. It's just, if you read between the lines and if you are aware of these issues, you see it immediately.
Yeah, exactly. She's not hitting you over the head with it, right? It's there. And if you know, then you know.
Exactly.
No, it's also, it's like one thing I've noticed as a man, when I was in relationships with people in my 20s and there was a problem that like my partner had, I'd be like, we're fixing this problem right now. It's getting fixed. I'm going to fix it. It's going to get done. and it just made the situation worse.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I gotta fix it in my head. Because again, just how society drills it in. Now, if there's like a problem, I'm like, or if a partner's upset or something and doesn't really want to talk. Me 10, 15 years ago, I'd be like, all right, we need to talk this out. Now I'm like, okay, you know what? If you're not ready to talk, you take space, do what you need to do. We can deal with this later.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I've just learned how to communicate in a much more effective way.
Mm-hmm.
And like in a more positive way and a less toxic way that like I had to kind of teach myself how to do. Because society does not teach those attributes to men very well.
No.
Yeah, no, we're just conditioned to be solve, and it's always through a lens of self, right? Like we're solving it not because we're trying to fix the issue. We're solving it because we want to feel better about the issue. It's like totally the wrong intent.
Yeah, because it's centered around the fragile ego. Because if you don't fix it, you're weaker, and you're considered a failure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm already considered a failure, so whatever.
I mean, millennials, come on.
Oh man. Well, just look at the power of this story, right? It's such a short story, and we're talking about like really deep-rooted systemic issues, and that's why I chose it. It's just there's so much there, but it's not hammering you over the head. It's just so layered. It's a fantastic piece.
Yeah. And let's not just also forget the part, because this is a horror story.
Yes.
And she did manage to creep me out in parts when she's asleep.
That wheezing.
That wheezing.
Oh,
I was really creeped out. Like a lot of things creep me out when I'm reading, but that I was like, yeah, I would be petrified if I woke up and I heard just this gurgling wheezing just right above me.
It's just sleep apnea.
Yeah, that's what happens when you book a room with like another horror writer. We all have sleep apnea, so
I don't. It sounds like a you problem.
We're gonna go to StokerCon. You're just gonna see everybody with their sleep apnea masks on after 9 p.m. You're gonna be the only one because you have European healthcare.
Exactly. I was gonna think like, okay, at first probably I wouldn't think about like, why is everyone carrying extra luggage this time? And I was like, oh, it's for the sleep apnea machines.
Why does everyone have CPAP masks on? What's going on?
Oh man.
I mean, I have clean air here, guys. Yeah, I mean that might be why.
I had to make that joke. It was just there. I needed to say it.
It had to be done.
It had to be done. But no, the green eyes and the noises were portrayed very well. And one thing I really like about the ending of the story, to get into that too, is like the cat's had her time with Penny. Penny's time is done.
Mm-hmm.
And the cat just goes to spend time with more people in the area.
To find other things for other people to show the way, I guess.
Yeah, so it's like, but here it's like the cat. If we look at it this way, the cat was given to someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now the cat's in an area where it's kind of given an open range to spend time with people.
Mm-hmm.
So now in this case, before people were choosing where the cat goes, now the cat gets to choose.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
I did think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I felt like the ending was a little bit ambiguous. Like we are going into a little bit of spoiler territory, I think, here.
I mean, it is ambiguous, but it's meant to be that way.
Yeah, but because I don't think Penny died. I think she was just transferred to another facility.
Yeah, I got the sense she was dead. Yeah,
she was dead.
I thought so too, because when she described like it used to be her bedroom, and I was like, oh shit, she's dead. But then he talks about another place called Cedar Heights. So I'm wondering if they got her transferred to a better facility.
Yeah, so I wonder, but like that leaves the cat piece in question. Like,
But then again, the Cedar Heights might have been maybe the crematorium or something like that, or funeral home.
Or even like the graveyard.
Yeah, or graveyard, yeah.
Yeah.
It's ambiguous, yeah. So I wasn't quite sure, like, because he mentioned another place. I'm like, is that another facility?
It very well could be. But I got the sense that she was dead personally. That's what I took from it.
I mean, how it led on to this ending, yeah, definitely. But again, I think if people want to be hopeful, they can lean onto the other thing.
Yeah, I don't want to be the one to pull the, I can't find the analogy for it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the one to deconstruct that for them if they want to hold on to hope. I wish Penny was alive. She seems like a very nice woman.
Yeah.
That cat seems like he knows what he's doing. He's been around the block a few times.
True.
We don't make mistakes.
You don't make no mistakes.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean the imagery also of the green eyes in the orange cat, and just it was a really well told story. I really, really liked it.
Oh yeah. I was a bit concerned at first when I saw that there was a cat in it. I was like, oh, please don't kill the cat. Please don't. I won't read the story if the cat dies. But then it turns out it wasn't. So I was like, okay, I'm happy.
Yeah, I generally lean away from like stories that animals die in really gruesome or torturous ways.
I can't those.
Yeah.
Nope.
I'm the same.
I like forced myself to finish The Troop by Nick Carter because the body horror imagery was just horrifying. But I skipped the entire chapters with the fucked up kid.
Yeah, I don't see the value in it. I mean,
no,
to each their own. To each, we're obviously we're all creatives.
Yeah.
I mean, in my book, a dog has cancer, but like, there's nothing. You know what I mean? I'm not like torturing the dog, and there's not a whole bunch of scenes of the dog being abused or whatever. It's just a thing that happens. But like, I can't understand the people who write like somebody gruesomely murdering an animal. Like, I just can't do it. I don't understand it.
I can't do it either.
I can't. Mm-mm.
It's I don't get it either. But no, I thought it was going to go that way too. I will say I'm going to read the story again after this podcast because I think I just read it too early. But like I love the story, feeling kind of lukewarm about it. I thought it had some cool things about it that I really enjoyed, and the conversation is making me reflect on the story a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm probably going to revisit it sometime in the future to see how my opinion changes of it. I felt it was a bit too wordy, but maybe that's just me.
Could be. I mean, it always is a little bit different for each person. I mean, I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was Caitlin's best, but I haven't finished her entire collection. I am going to finish it today because I have been meaning to get that collection for a long time now. So I'm glad that Aquino suggested this one. But yeah, like I read This Is Where We Talk Things Out, and it was amazing.
Fantastic.
So good. So yeah, I think she has probably a lot of great stories out there.
Oh, most definitely. Aquino, where can listeners get in touch with you?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, where can listeners get in touch with you?
Oh, sure. On Twitter is usually where I'm the most responsive. People joke that I'm like the greatest texter of all time because I respond like almost instantaneously to everybody. It's just like my autism. I can't leave a message unresponded.
I'm the same way.
So yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Aquino Author. You can also visit my website, AquinoLoayza.com, if you want to buy some Deep merch or buy a signed copy of Deep. Yeah, those are the best places to reach me. Honestly, my email's available there too. I always try to be approachable to everybody.
And be sure to pick up Deep. I've heard nothing but great things about it, and I got to get on top of that soon. Same.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you guys enjoy it, and if not, feel free to give me an earful about it. I don't mind.
And Vitlame, where can listeners get in touch with you?
I'm currently taking a little bit of a small break from social media right now, especially Twitter. But my DMs are always open. So if people want to talk or chat or vent, they can reach out to me on Twitter at VitlameS.
Perfect. And you can follow me on Twitter at Rudy53088. And be sure to give Abyss a follow, add it to staring. And this is Richard Gerlach saying, keep staring.